Hi y'all, welcome to Petite Weaver Crafts episode 43. I'm recording here today on September 12th, 2017. Thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. So for this week, I have a ton of new stash, making up for all the lost time in the last few months, a finished object, and a brand new work in progress. Also, as a reminder, there is a giveaway going on, and a finished object, and a brand new work in progress. So let's go ahead and get started. First up for my new stash, there was a huge annual sale at my local yarn store. They had a ton of stuff with pretty big discounts, and I couldn't pass up on 50% off some Imperial stock yarns. I picked up 3 skeins of this lovely plum color. It's called Marionberry Pie. I really enjoy this color on my skin tone, so I couldn't pass up 50% off. I got 3 skeins, and each of them are 395 yards. So pretty beefy skeins. They're sport weight yarn. And I got 1 skein of the natural in the same base. I got this yarn in hopes of making a new Fair Isle sweater, but with the ratio 3:1, I think I can make a striped sweater as well. My current plan for these yarns is the Branches and Buds Pullover by Carrie Hope, and it is a top-down with a circular yoke sweater. Reasons why I wanted to switch to a top-down sweater a little bit later, but yeah, I couldn't pass up on such a good deal, and these colors are just super lovely, so I got that. Also, I have been really wanting a good Grello sweater. Most of my yellow sweaters are very warm yellows, so I wanted a cooler yellow sweater so that I have yellow sweaters to round out my entire wardrobe. So I picked up this lovely pack of Koigu, and it's like kind of a gradient of gray to black, and then a neon yellow skein. This is about 200 grams total. But that should be plenty for me to do any sort of color work, in addition to having maybe a white base for the rest of my sweater. But yeah, so I picked those up. That should be fun. I don't actually have a pattern plan for this yarn yet, but I really just like the colors, and they were on sale. This past weekend, I also went down to the Indie Dyer Fair down in Alamitos Bay Yarn Company, and it is it's just a very small vendor fair that has a ton of indie dyers in the area. I feel very lucky because there seems to be a ton of indie dyers in our area. So I think there was about 12 or so vendors of indie dyers, and I got a lot of yarn. It was like a small mini stitches for me, and I went a little bit overboard, but I'm really happy with my purchases. So let's go ahead and dive in. So first up is a lovely project bag. This project bag was made by a Pear Perfect, and it's pear like a couple, not like the fruit. But look at the inside of this bag. It's super cute fall colors, and this bag itself is really well made. I really love that there's this insert in the center, and it allows you to split your yarn on either side of the bag. There's pockets in here as well, and in addition there is a color coordinated set of stitch markers, and these little charms are pear charms. And then it was sold as a kit, so go along with this. It was a collaboration with Dizzy Blonde, which is a dyer in our area as well. And it came with these 4 mini skeins that coordinate with the bag. And this is actually a Corriedale nylon base, which I haven't tried before. It feels a little bit more rustic than like a normal merino nylon base, but I imagine since Corriedale has longer fibers, this will probably wear a lot better. I could probably use these to make like super cute wristers as well. The colors just go really well together. And now I have a fall bag. I don't love Halloween colors, so this is probably going to be my go-to fall themed bag for this season. There were a few new indie dyers that I hadn't seen their product in person before, and one of them is Longdog Yarns. She has the cutest label. I spoke with Brandy for a little bit. She has a dachshund, hence the name. Her yarns are very much my aesthetic. I had to really rein myself in and not purchase too much yarn. I have been looking for more indie dyers that produce a slightly variegated / speckled semi-solid yarns. As much as I love like a lot of pops of color and everything, trying to pick a pattern for those types of yarns is a little bit more difficult. So the one that I saw on Instagram and knew I had to get was this lovely yellow color. I had no idea what the colorway name was until I got there, but it was actually a part of her Outlander themed collection, and this one is called Dragonfly in Amber. It is my favorite skein of yarn. It's a gorgeous yellow color, of course, and then it has these fun bright pops of color in there as well. This is a fingering base, and it's just your basic 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Look how lovely this is. I almost bought a sweater's quantity of it, but I reined myself in. I have probably over a dozen sweater quantities of yarn in my stash currently. So I told myself no, I didn't need to buy that much of this yarn, but I do really, really love this color. And the second skein of yarn that I purchased from her is also very fun. This is called Dark Dimension, and it's a cool gray with pops of bright pink, yellow, and orange as well. This is also a fingering skein of yarn. Alrighty, moving on. I bought a lot of speckled yarn this time around. Next up, I got a lovely skein of Inner Yarn Zen. Next up, I got a lovely skein of Inner Yarn Zen. And this one is kind of a pale yellow neutral base with speckles of rust colors on top of it. Super fall, very autumny. I was mostly shopping for warmer colored yarns since I had used up so much of my warm palette in my Marbled Madness recently. Gotta restock my colors in case I need them for something else. I just thought this skein was gorgeous, so I picked it up. Let me be real here. Next up, I got two skeins of Fiber Fools, which is also a new to me dyer. It's just a gorgeous kind of light mauvey warm pink with speckles of red and brown in there as well. The colorway is called Cherry Park. I also got another skein of Forbidden Woolery, and this is once again on her Pride base, which I love this base. It's a Stellina base. You can see it sparkle. And this is the same base that I purchased for my Threshold sweater, which is that golden yellow one with the twisted stitches in the front. I thought that if I wanted to, it would pair very nicely with the cherry bark. And this colorway is called Copper Boom. A little bit tonal, sparkly, gorgeous, rusty red color. And then after all of that, we found out that the Yarn Over truck was actually at another yarn store not too far from where we were, and they had recently gotten some Candy Skein yarns. I've been following Candy Skein on Instagram for a little while, and I do really love her color palettes. So we decided to go ahead and stop by and check it out in person. And I picked up two skeins from the Yarn Over truck. The first skein is just a lovely kind of warm taupey gray, and the colorway is called Earl Grey Latte. I think it's pretty hard to find a warm, like a nice warm gray, and I thought that this skein would really go well with either my cherry bark or my Copper Boom. It's just a lovely, lovely gray color. I haven't seen a lot of these, so I went ahead and picked up one. And the cute thing about her skeins is that each skein comes with a little candy stitch marker. So yeah, that probably would fit maybe up to a size 3 or 4. And then the other skein that I got from her was this super fun skein. I, once again, have no idea what I'm going to do with this, but it is so fun. As I was looking at the wall of yarn, I managed to pick up the same exact colorway on every base that she had. Because each base makes the colors look a tiny bit different, but I adore this colorway. The color is called Birthday Cake, which is perfect. I mean, look at these little speckles in here. Gorgeous. I don't know what I'm going to do with this either, but I feel very happy to have my yarn stash a little bit filled out again. Yeah, I had a great time all around doing so much yarn shopping. It was an all-day affair and I was exhausted by the end of it. Moving on, as a reminder, I announced this last episode, but I have a current giveaway of this lovely skein of peach colored yarn. Please check out my previous episode and comment in that video of your favorite summer dessert. I will be closing the giveaway on September 30th and then announcing the winner in the following episode. So yeah, moving on to finished objects. So I did manage to finish my Stasis pullover. This is the colorwork sweater from Brooklyn Tweed. It is by Raabe, I think. I knit this one out of Wonderland yarns in the colorway Goat's Beard, and the colorwork portion is in with pointed sticks on their glitter pen base in the colorway. It's called Mermaid. If you can tell from me holding it up, it is huge. It is huge. Somewhere between me starting the swatch for the sweater and when I actually finished knitting the sweater, my gauge changed incredibly and the sweater rode out to like the length of the rows were much greater than my original swatch. So my tension must have changed at some point in the knitting process. So unfortunately, this gorgeous sweater does not fit me at all. The yoke depth is like 8 inches and I think I'm normally like a 6-inch from shoulder to armpit. And the sleeves are incredibly long as well. It's hard to tell, but they probably go down to almost my fingertips. So unfortunately, I will not be keeping this sweater for myself. The sweater is actually going to go to a very good friend of mine who absolutely adores this sweater and has been eyeballing it ever since I started knitting. I'm not as sad as I probably could be about giving up this sweater. There's always new sweaters that I can make, and I am lucky enough that my petite frame allows for very quick knitting of garments. So this one is gonna go to someone else who will love it more than I can, because I would not wear this in its current size. So yeah, a few things went wrong with this sweater. There was quite a bit of time between when I knit the swatch and when I actually really started working on this sweater. So yeah, my gauge must have changed a lot since then. In addition, the size I was knitting was larger than my actual frame, but when I knit the swatch, I actually went down quite a bit for the needle sizes, and that should have compensated for the fact that the pattern size was actually larger than myself. But unfortunately, my gauge changed as I was knitting it. And in addition to that, since I hadn't knit a bottom-up sweater before, or a circle yoke sweater, I didn't know where I needed to make the adjustments to ensure that it would fit me better. Yeah, it's still a gorgeous sweater, and I do love the way it turned out. It just won't be for myself. So after all of these shenanigans, I want a Fair Isle sweater. Like, that was the intent. So I'll be swatching for my Branches and Buds sweater with my new yarn pretty soon. And that one is a top-down sweater, so hopefully this will go a little bit better this time around. Moving on, I also casted on another sweater. Reeling from my disappointment that my Stasis pullover didn't quite work out to be added to my wardrobe, I cast on a sweater for the Joji Fall Knitalong. One of her patterns that I've been eyeballing and it's been sitting in my favorites for a while. So yeah, this sweater is a lovely long kind of coat cardigan designed by Joji Locatelli. I believe she released it in Interpretations Volume 2, and I am using my gorgeous Galaxy yarn that I dyed and showed you guys last time. So here it is so far. Here you can see a giant, lovely 1x1 ribbing shawl collar, and the ribbing continues on both front panels, and then on the back it is a stockinette, and I have started the sleeves as well. I am alternating skeins except for the sleeves, so you can see that the body looks very, very uniform across. I would switch the balls of yarn every other row, And the sleeves I did not, so they're slightly different, but I don't mind because alternating rows on sleeves is a little bit more irritating and I didn't want to do it. So yeah, this sweater is fitting much better than my Stasis pullover, and I definitely swatched multiple times for this one. The gauge that was recommended on the pattern, I didn't actually like the fabric for it, so I went down quite a bit. And here you can see the swatch that I finally settled on. The pattern I believe called for a size 7 needle and size 6 needle, and I ended up going with a size 4 needle and a size 3 needle to get the fabric that I wanted. So I'm actually using the medium for the stitch count, but this pattern has mostly inches for the rows, so I'm using the small measurements for the row length and then the medium for the stitch count. So yeah, so far it's going well. I've been trying it on once again because it's a top-down sweater. I've been trying it on frequently to make sure that it does fit, and so far so good. The yarn is knitting up beautifully. I cannot wait to have this one done. It's super cozy. The pattern calls for, I think 7 skeins of yarn, and I only have 6. So it's going to be shorter than in the pattern, but the pattern itself like goes down to almost your knee, and that's way too long of a cardigan for me, so it's going to be shorter, but I'm completely fine with that. So that's part of the reason why I'm knitting my sleeves first before I finish the body, to make sure I have enough yarn. But yeah, I generally knit my sleeves before the rest of the body anyway. It's a little bit easier to knit them 2 at a time without as much weight on the body. But yeah, that's it for my works in progress. I've been pretty monogamous in my knitting. The other thing that I've been working on mostly is I started a new calligraphy script class. I haven't been practicing my calligraphy in quite a long time, but one of the Instagram accounts that I follow, Antiquara Bailey, she is the owner behind Antiquara Stationery. You've probably seen it before in like Paper Source and stores like that. She's hosting an online calligraphy class, so I've been back to practicing, and it's been great. I forgot that I really enjoy it. It's a less productive craft, so I had put it kind of on the back burner, but it's great to bring it back and get a little bit more practice since my friend has asked me to handwrite her wedding invitations. That is going on for another 4 weeks, so keep your eyes posted on my Instagram if you want to see a little bit more calligraphy as well. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks as always for watching, and you can, as I mentioned, you can find me on Instagram as Petite Weaver and also on Woolery. Until next time, bye y'all.